Hello everyone, Tina here. I hope you're having a fabulous day. Thanks for joining me. Well, I have a few brand new goodies to share with you. They are from C&CT and they're part of a brand new release called Born to Sparkle. And today we are going to create a card using a few of the items, but I did want to share with you this is not the whole collection, guys. There's lots more to it, and I'll leave the link down below to the entire collection. But I'm going to share with you a few of them, and I'll be making projects with them. Now, this was an embossing folder. It kind of intrigued me because the package was really heavy, and it felt really heavy duty for an embossing folder. So I pulled out one of my regular embossing folders. You can see the size difference. This is called the Floral Centerpiece embossing folder from C&CT, and I'm thinking it's a 3D embossing folder. You can see on the back how pretty those florals are. So I thought we would go ahead and run it through the die cutting machine and take a look and see what this pretty embossing folder does. Now, normally with my, at least my Spellbinders embossing folders, I just use the top plate and then the platform, of course, and then that will run it through. So I'm thinking this is a little thicker, and I don't think that's the sandwich for this size of embossing folder. So we're gonna give it a go just to see. And I was right. It's not gonna fit through it. So I'm gonna run it through without it, and it does emboss it, guys. But it was a very pale embossed. It wasn't like the package on the back. I'm going to realign it, and then I'm going to add a few pieces of cardstock and create just a little bit of a tighter wedge running it through. I'm going to add 2 pieces of cardstock, or one folded in half, and then the packaging, and we're going to see what this does. You could tell the grip when you run it through your die cutting machine if it's going to be a detailed embossing or not. Without these little paper shims, you got that very faint embossed detail, but with them you get this beautiful 3D floral. So pretty. You can see how much of a embossed detail it has. So that's brand new. It's called the Floral Centerpiece. We're going to set this aside and take a look at some more goodies. Next, we have a beautiful stencil. Now, they're coming out with all sizes of stencils, and this one happens to be 6 by 9. I'm going to grab a piece of 8.5 by 11 cardstock and my card base here. This is an A2 size card base. You can see the size, but isn't the stencil gorgeous? It's just so pretty. This is your regular standard cardstock size. You can see how big it is. Great thing about this is if you use scrapbook on standard pages, this is perfect for that. 12 by 12 pages, this is perfect for that. Even A2 size cards, it's perfect because there's lots of options on placement of these florals. But it's also great for mini slimline and regular slimlines. So fun stencil. Next, I'm going to share with you a brand new die set. It's a sentiment die, says thank you. It's called the Swoopy Thank You. It's a 3-piece set. You have the thank you and then the outline. What I love about the Simon envelope packaging is, unless it's larger, the die will actually fit true to size on the very front of the package. I thought, since I showed the embossing folder, I'm going to die cut this out and show you this fun sentiment. You have the thank and the you. I'm just adhering it to the outline piece. And I believe this looks like a CC Design sentiment die, and you know what it is. So love this thank you. A lot of swoopies. So that is brand new to the shop. We're going to put these back, and you can see that it's perfect size on the front of the packaging too. Next, we have a 6 by 6 stamp. Well, actually, technically, it's not 6 by 6, it's a circle, but it's called Color Wheel. I think this would make a great swatch piece for your Copics, for your oxide inks. You could do so much with this color wheel, and including you could put it on the front of an A2 size card base, and also square cards would be fabulous for this. And so that is called the Color Wheel. Next, we have a 6 by 8 stamp set. This is called Organic Fruit. Now, at first glance, I thought the solid images filled in the outline images, but that's not so. These are meant to be kind of wonky placement. There's going to be some white areas if you stamp the outline on top, and I think that's why they call it organic. We're going to create a card with this today. There's some pretty sentiments in here too that makes it really nice. Last but not least, I'm going to share with you a brand new stamp set. This is called Class Act. It's perfect for graduation, and I think nowadays more than ever we need to send out graduation cards since ceremonies are still being online or virtual. So I thought this was fabulous. Great for college grads, high school grads, probably even elementary grads, guys. And then there's some fun sentiments in here. The one that had me cracking up was officially hotter by 1 degree. I thought, oh gosh, that's cute. So that's a few of the items from the Born to Sparkle release. We are going to jump in and create a card with the organic fruits that I shared with you earlier. Okay, we'll take this out of the package, and since they're solid images, we are going to bring in the mini Misty here, and we're going to do some stamping. Now, at first glance, you would think that these solid images would line up with the outline images, but that's not the case. I think what makes it organic is that they're overlapping or offsetting. Now you place your, well, this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to place my solid image in my Misty here. We'll pick it up, and I thought we would make a plum and a pear card. So I brought in 2 of my Distress Oxide inks. I have Victorian Velvet and also Seedless Preserves. To make my plum, we're gonna ink up our circle here. Now this could be any kind of fruit, guys, with the circle. I would say there is a larger one that you could use for grapefruit or for maybe lemons. This one could be a lime. So lots of options with it. I stamped that. I flipped my panel over, stamped again. We're gonna make 2 of the same images, and then I'm gonna take my Seedless Preserves and I'm going to add a little bit of shading detail, just kind of curling it around the corner of one side of the stamp, and this just adds a little bit more depth. I'm going to flip over my panel and do the same thing to our second plum, and we are good to go. I love these 2 colors together. It's kind of a dulled down kind of a tone. I like that. Next, I'm going to go ahead and take the outline. I lined it. I didn't really line it up. There's nothing to line up. You can circle that solid shape over and over, but it's not going to line up, guys. So you could just place it on top, stamp it, which I did with my Versamark or VersaFine Onyx Black ink. We'll flip over our panel and stamp it once more on our bottom one. And you can see there's some white areas, and I think that's intentional. I'm going to take the little stem. And of course, if this were a citrus fruit, you wouldn't add the stem, but I'm going to, well, I guess you could with maybe an orange or a lemon. I guess you could add it to all the fruits, but I'm going to add it to my plum, and I did lower it a little bit so it's on the inside of the plum. Next, I'm going to bring in some clear embossing powder. We're going to go over our image. I didn't use my anti-static powder bag, but since, and it did stick to my Seedless Preserves. But since I'm using clear, I didn't think it's that big of a deal, and I thought I'll just add a little more to the bottom one. I'm going to use my heat gun and melt it, and I'm loving the way this looks. I'll put my panel back in the Misty, and then for our next image, we're going to create a pear. We're going to take the solid piece, add it to our corner, and then for our pear, we're going to use 2 shades of yellow. I have Squeezed Lemonade. We'll stamp this a few times, and then I'll flip my panel over and stamp it once more. We'll do a little shading with a darker yellow, which is Fossilized Amber. I think the purple and the yellow color combination is really nice. Do the same kind of shading that we did with our plums, just kind of curl it along the left edge. If there is any harsh lines, guys, use a finger dauber or a blending tool to get rid of those. You don't want no straight harsh lines from your ink pads. And I think that looks wonderful. We're going to clean off our solid image, bring in our stamp, our outline image of our pear, which is a normal pear shape. And this one again too, I tried to line up, and you just can't line them up. So I just placed it where that image, solid image, fit inside the pear, and I really like the outcome. I think it turned out really organic. Once my solid image is stamped, we'll take our little stem and stamp that on top of our pear. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp a little detail piece. There is one detail piece with polka dots that you could use for all of the fruit. So I'm adding this to each one of our fruit pieces. There's a curve to it that will go around the curve of the apples in the set, and then the two circles, and then also the pear. I'm going to go ahead and emboss this. And I did use my anti-static powder tool for this. And then we'll go ahead and use our heat gun and melt it. There's a few sentiments in here. There's thank you, best wishes, and with love. So there's the sentiments in this set. Once this is done, I'm going to bring in some more white cardstock, and then we're going to stamp some leaves. There are 4 leaf images in this set, and then there's 3 solid leaf images. So basically the leaves are going to do the same thing, but I think they fit better in your images, at least for a few of them. I'm going to take all 3 of the outlines, and we are going to stamp them. I'm stamping with Memento Tuxedo Black ink, but I'm keeping my images inside my MISTI. Now I did Memento because I needed to see where I was stamping the outline, because I want to do some heat embossing, and I didn't want to stamp over my Versamark ink because it would ink up my my ink pads. So I stamp with Memento, and then I'm taking the solid leaf image. This is the largest one, and it fits the large leaves perfectly. You won't have any white gaps. But I'm not really worrying about whether I'm stamping perfectly or not, because I'm going with the organic look. Now I did do a little bit of shading the same way I did the fruit with a darker ink. I used Bundled Sage and Forest Moss, I believe, but to do with a little bit of shading. Now this small piece fits in the 3-leaf image perfectly, but it doesn't fit the tiniest outline. If you guys want to create a few without color, I think that's what you can do also, which makes it a very I was going to say organic, but you're probably tired of hearing me say organic, but it's very abstract, I should say. But I'm going to go ahead and add a little shading to the smallest leaves. And again, if you want to leave some empty, I think that would be just as pretty. Okay, so once my oxide inks are colored, I'm going to go ahead and use my anti-static powder tool, go over my panel, and then bring back in my VersaFine Onyx Black ink. I'll ink up my images since I left them in the MISTI. I even left my sometimes it's nice stamping in the MISTI. I don't know if you guys like doing that or not, but that cushion pad just makes a real nice image. But I'm going to go over my leaves, and you can see how bold they are now. And then I'm going to take my clear embossing powder, and we're going to add some little bit of shine to these outline border edges, and it helps keep from smearing too. Once I heat set that, I did use my scissors and fussy cut these images. Now I'm not sure if Simon Says Stamp does have coordinating dies or not. If they do, I will list them down below. Sometimes with these images it's hard to die cut because the shapes are so different, but they probably do, but if they do, I'll list them. Okay, I created a window in a card front panel that's slightly smaller than my card base, and then I die cut out a square that was 2 sizes smaller. I thought we would use our 6x9 stencil here. I'm not sure of the name of the stencil. I'll list it below with the name of it, guys. But I added pixie spray behind it so it's lightly tacked, and then we're going to bring in a little bit of shading with some more Distress Oxide. This is pumice stone. It's a very warm gray, kind of like your W markers. Love this color. And I'm going around my entire window card front panel here. Just do a little soft texture in the background. I'm going to flip this panel over and add foam adhesive behind it. And then we'll go ahead and place this on our A2 size card front. Actually, I told you guys that it was slightly smaller than my card base, but this is actually card front size, so it's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches. I didn't make it smaller. I just wanted to go the full card front today. I love that soft floral look in the background. Okay, we are going to add our fruit, and I'm thinking 2 is going to be the perfect amount. I know I stamped and colored in 4, but I think 2 fruit are going to be perfect for my card today, kind of keeping it clean. I want to figure out my placement. I didn't know if I want the plum to the left or to the right. My eyes have a tendency to go to the right, so that's where we're going to put it. Before we add the leaves, I think we should stamp our sentiment and figure out our placement with the leaves after we stamp our sentiment. So I chose thank you. We're going to use our same VersaFine Onyx Black ink to stamp that. Instead of going in the center of the square, I'm going to go up a little bit, give us a little bit more room for leaf placement. I am going to grab some foam tape, but instead of adding it behind my sentiment, sometimes VersaFine takes a long time to dry. And this is where I get inky fingers and inky projects. So instead of adding my foam adhesive behind my sentiment, I added it to my card base, and then we'll add our sentiment on top. This way we can avoid some inky fingers. I'm going to go ahead and arrange my leaves. And again, we're going to go simple. We'll add the 3 leaf and then also a couple leaves to the pair. And I was happy with the way this turned out. So just basically 5 leaves, kind of very clean. Now we have extra fruit. We might as well use that fruit and put it on the inside of our card. And so we're just going to place 2 of them in the bottom right corner. We'll just open it up and tape them down so we don't have any bulk. And then we'll add a couple leaves also. Maybe just 1 leaf. So the inside's complete also. Now I'm going to add a little bit of sparkle using some sequins. These are clear sequins from Simon, and we're just going to add them above the sentiment and then below the pear in that corner there. And then that completes my card today, guys. I think this collection is going to be fat. This collection is called Board to Sparkle, and I know my card's not very sparkly, but stay tuned for some sparkly cards. Everything's listed below if you guys want to check it out. Have a fabulous day. Thanks for joining me. We will see you again real soon. Bye-bye.